Hello, hello, and welcome to my world. This is Audrey's World. Audrey's World is a podcast where I invite guests. You get to know them, you get to hear about what they're into, a little bit about their life, like growing up, just so you can understand their current reality and their current world. And then I ask them what their dream world is because sometimes, guys, we just got to daydream. Life can be a little crazy, life can be wild, things can be out of our control. So maybe we just daydream about it and pretend, put our head in the clouds and see what could happen. Pretend there's some great solution for what's going on, or maybe we ignore that. Is it the best? Probably not. Would a therapist recommend this? I'm not sure. So bringing in other people might not be the best, but we'll figure that out later. We're glossing over that for now because that's not the point. The point is just to have fun, play pretend, listen to some other people's lives. And, we talk about this later in the episode, but every relationship, whether it's like besties, family, acquaintances, or just a person you meet at a coffee shop, relationships are fun. People are interesting. There are nice people out there. There are good people out there. There are people who live a life that is interesting to you. There's so many different possibilities and so many different cool people. And at the end of the day, I just want to talk to those people. I want to learn about them and I want to know what their dream world is. So that's what we do on the podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed their Labor Day weekends. Hopefully, I was reminded that summer technically isn't over until I think it's like September 21st. So you can still live out your summer fantasy for a few more weeks if you really wanted to. This doesn't have to be the end of the summer. Maybe there's a few things that you want to do. I know I was talking with some friends this weekend, and one thing that we collectively decided we needed more of this summer was ice cream. I felt like the summer didn't bring enough ice cream, so I don't know, maybe today you grab some ice cream after you listen to this or something, or just put it on your bucket list. And I feel like that's just like a quintessential part of summer. So have some ice cream, enjoy the outside, like do what you can while summer or like decent weather is still around. But I'll stop yapping. Let's get to today's episode. This was an incredible conversation. There is so much that we dip into. So I want everyone just to lock in, get ready, and listen up. So without further ado, she's in a band and she's great with money. Whoa. Fellow eldest daughter and is a bookworm. I'd love to introduce you to Kelly Kruke.
That's what our music is kind of like with my band because we're on Spotify.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people, like friends in Louisville, and then they'll be like, there's somebody in Dayton. And I'm like, oh, that's my brother.
Yeah.
And then we randomly had some dude in Australia listen to us. And it's so weird when it's like different countries because you're like, how did
It's
this?
weird that you can
Yes.
see that, isn't it?
Yes, it's very odd, but it's
Yeah.
fun.
There have been a few random locations like that, and I'm like, is it just a bot? Or like like what who are you?
Funny. Just like some person trying to like hack something and they're like, oh, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah, this is not what I thought I was. Who is this girl? But how's your Labor Day been? What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, my boyfriend's dad's family is from Northern Kentucky, and some of them still live up there. So we actually went up to Cincy for the Reds game on Saturday, which was very
Nice.
fun. Although baseball is not my most favorite sport, but the stadium's really nice, and it's like right on the river, so you can kind of walk and like see the boats and the bridges and stuff. And then I have a friend from college that lives up there in Bellevue, which is next to Newport. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like an up and coming neighborhood. So there was like some cool coffee shops we went to. And then there was like a zine store that we ended up in where this guy just
Ooh.
opened a store and sells zines and has space in the back for people to make them and stuff. So that was really cool to see that.
Yeah. Wait, what's a zine? I'm
Hmm.
so lame.
It's like they can be a lot of things, but they kind of came up during like the Riot Grrrl music in the 90s. And they're literally just
Okay.
like 8 stapled pieces of paper. And you can draw on them, you can write in them, but people would hand them out at shows. And some of them would be like informative, like This is how to get more rights, or this is how to make something, or this is how to do something. And some of them would just be like song lyrics or poetry or doodles or whatever. A lot of people do short comics, kind of, if you're good at it.
Yeah.
And if not, like, we had somebody at a show come and basically be like, you should not use these ingredients to make some kind of bomb to fight the ice when they come. So it was like, all kinds of range of stuff. But this shop was mostly like local comics, some books of, people had drawn the bridges in Cincinnati or different houses and stuff like that. So it
That's
was
so
cool. It was
cool. Oh
neat.
my God. You learn something new every day. And this is an exciting learn of the day.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, I love that it can be the political or informative, like educational sort of thing too, or it could just be purely creative and artistic, like whatever you want. But I mean, hell, an incredible way to spread information and like help people out and
Yeah, and it's really like
all of that.
low skill and low production, so kind of anybody can do it
Mhm.
because you really can just go like photocopy what you wrote on at Kinko's or the library or whatever and staple them together and you're done. So you don't have to go
Call
through
it a
like a
day.
publishing kind of thing. It's cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Easy access. Everyone can do it. Like incredible.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's really neat.
Taylor Swift's friendship bracelets, I mean, could never, but
Truly, but
they are,
they have their own place for sure.
yeah.
I was doing them for like every show I went to. We at my band actually sells ones that I just make for fun with our band name on them. But I'd go to like Fall Out Boy shows and stuff, and I'd be like friendship bracelets, and some people would have them, and we'd trade, and it
Oh my
was
God.
fun. It was a neat
That
trend.
is fun. Yeah, going into the whole music and concert scene. I love it. Well, I know like EDM shows have been doing that shit for ever in like festival life.
Yeah.
Melissa taught me that. But
I know. I've actually not
um,
gone. Like if I was at like Austin City Limits or something and there was EDM, sometimes I'd go over, but I've never really gone to a big festival and I should get her to take me to one because I think it'd be
yeah,
fun.
she's like the pro at it.
Yeah.
She would be very good at it.
Yes.
I don't think you want me there. I'm a fine guest,
Yes.
but the camping aspect, no. Get me there for a day. I can rally, I can do that. But me camping at a festival for like a weekend,
I
no.
think
That's I draw the
I
line.
may have like missed my window and now I'm like, oh, I need to sleep in a real bed because my back's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
So
For
I've
real.
started going to like I've been able to get VIP for some festivals and that's where I'm like, okay, this I can do, but other than that, I may be out of that particular window of main crowd camping festival life.
For real. We have like Lollapalooza obviously in
Mhm.
Chicago, and one of my friends, he can get VIP tickets kind of, I'll say more easily, maybe because he works in advertising.
Cool.
And I'm like, yeah, that's the only way I'll go anymore. Like I see his stories and shit, and I'm like, yeah,
That's the life.
it's time. That's what we're paying for.
Yes. Kristen goes to a Dave Matthews Festival in Indiana, in Noblesville, and she's
Hmm.
gone. It's like all weekend, and they camp out and just chill. And that does seem fun and probably chiller than some of the like EDM or rock music festivals. So maybe that, but even still, the thought of sleeping in a tent is not for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You guys would camp quite a bit. Like I remember growing up, you guys would do the neighborhood camping trip.
Yes, we, when I was young, I remember we would go camping. It was probably just me and Kevin then. And we, we would go, we would sleep in a tent. And there was one weekend, this is like family lore, where it rained and the whole tent leaked. And then on top of that, while they were trying to pack everything up, Kevin went and played in this fire pit. So he was just like covered in ash. He was like two or something.
Yeah.
And after that, my mom said, we will never go camping without borrowing a pop-up camper.
Yeah.
And so we never did again. And we always had those pop-up campers when we went with like the neighborhood, which was better, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. So growing up, how I know Kelly is she's Casey's older sister. So remember Casey from Casey's World, I think like episode 3. It's that girl. And Kelly is her older sister, but Kelly and then another friend of ours, like Casey, Kelly, Maddie, they grew up side by side. And their street growing up in Ohio was like very tight knit, would do dinners together often and like host each other's at houses, but then they would do this camping weekend. And growing up, I was like, so that was one of the times I was always pissed I wasn't on Hancock Street. It was just like they would come back from this weekend and it was like, oh, we did this, we did this. And all of us
Mhm.
were like, such an exclusive club. We couldn't come. Like,
Well, and it like was really good for so just so everybody knows, I have two sisters, Casey, who was on the show, and then Kristen, um, who is 3 years older than Casey, and then 2 years older than Kristen is Kevin, and then I'm 2 years older than Kevin. But we moved to Findlay, Ohio, onto Hancock Street when I was 10. And all my siblings had a bunch of kids that were their age, but there wasn't really anybody my age. And I was like going into my angsty teen years. So I would like go on those and I would be like, I don't, maybe I'm too cool for this, you know?
yeah.
But we did
There's
make
these children.
literally, but we did make these sandwiches, I remember, with like the campfire. They're like metal plates,
Yeah.
and then you put
Yeah.
bread, pizza sauce, and cheese and pepperoni in them and cook them over the
Mm,
fire. And that is a core memory that has stuck with me.
yeah. Ooh, that sounds so good with the char of like a fire
Um,
too. Ooh.
like,
Yeah, so you were 10 when you moved. That's crazy. I can't imagine because I knew Casey was like what, 3, 4?
yeah,
So it was an easy transition for her and like whatever. But being 10, having a set of friends, like being in middle school kind of at that point, that had to be really hard.
yes, I was also very awkward because I was really tall. Like I'm almost 6 feet, and I've been that tall since I was probably 9 or 10. I had glasses and braces, and I was like a little chubby, and it was just like not the time to change school.
Time to start new.
Yep. But there were a couple girls I remember being really nice that like invited me to eat lunch with them. And I'm actually still friends with one of them today. Her name is Jen, and she actually moved down to around Louisville. So we hang out quite a bit,
That's
which is
awesome.
fun. But I do think that fed into why I had, Casey mentioned it on the podcast, but why I had such angsty teenage years, which clearly I never quite grew out of. But
Incredible.
it was definitely a challenge, and it was definitely a smaller town. Like we lived in the suburbs of Detroit, so it was
Mhm.
definitely a little smaller and more insular, and I think that I struggled with that a bit. But I was really good at school, so that always went well, and I played sports, and so that was fun to meet people through that. Um, and I've always done like choir and that kind of stuff. So there was lots of ways to meet people. And I still do get together with three of the girls, and we still talk and get together at least once a year. We have a group chat and
That's
stuff. And
fun.
that's actually true for all my siblings, which I think is pretty cool. They all have Kevin less, but you girls with Casey's group all keep up together really well. And I think that's really
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It's definitely special, and we recognize that. But at least you did have the, like, you were good at school, you had the sports and activities and things that you were involved in to kind of like meet different people and whatnot.
cool.
Like, I'm then thinking of myself, I only did volleyball. I did not diversify myself a lot as a kid, and I was not very good at school. So I feel like it would have been like changing that, like doing those different things. Like, I know it maybe didn't help or wasn't the best thing, but maybe gives you just like a leg up to, yeah, meet more people and really find people who were similar to you, but
Yeah,
still not easy to do.
sports is like challenging looking back sometimes because it is a lot, it's a lot on your body and that kind of thing. But I always think it really taught me how to interact with people in a way that maybe I would have struggled with if I had not been playing sports with people that were a little bit different from the people I had classes with or hung out with outside of school. And I do think it teaches you like some good discipline. Although I feel
Yeah.
like Audrey and I both played for the same volleyball club, and I actually coached her when she was like 11. Do you
That's
remember
right.
that?
Yes. Oh my God. I knew okay, when I was thinking of this, I knew we drove up together to practice, but that part of it like totally was not in my memory. Oh
Mhm.
my God, that's
I was
right.
just like a little assistant coach helping out with little Audrey.
Oh
But
my
that club
God.
was very intense and maybe a little too intense looking back. But it
Yeah.
did teach good discipline and I think good teamwork. And so I always think that was like some good aspects to come out of it. But some of the overarching, I think it was more intense when you were there, but you just all had to wear the same exact thing. And if the balls didn't get picked up in a certain time, everybody had to run. And if somebody messed something up, then everybody had to run. And I think that was maybe a little intense for teenage girls.
Okay, I'm so glad someone else can corroborate my story. They know where I'm coming from.
Good.
Yes, so intense. And I agree. Looking back, well, currently, I don't realize how disciplined I am for a lot of things. And I know it goes back to that. But I also love too, you are as well an eldest daughter,
Mhm.
and some of that I like in my working theory of how I came to be. I'm like, is it the volleyball stuff? Is it eldest daughter? Is it just my genetics? Like, I don't know, but all of those just stacking up, I can be so strict and organized and like really rigid and like need things to go a certain way, and sometimes can lack flexibility. But like, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but
No,
I
I
love
definitely
that you have these same elements.
Yes, no, I definitely feel that. And like, it's been really interesting. I've been dating my boyfriend for 2 years, and he's actually the youngest in his family. And I'm friends with his
Mm.
oldest brother. But seeing the difference in how we both interact with our families and noticing now that there's like another person with me when I'm with my family, noticing the anxiety that comes up when we're all six of us together and we're trying to go somewhere. And I'm like, who has this? Where are we going? When are we getting there? What are we doing? And now that I'm like dating someone and we're doing that together, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this. And he's like, all right, sounds great. I don't,
Cool.
that's fine. But I'm so used to over communicating like crazy. And
Hmm.
with three younger siblings, there's six people. We're all trying to do something slightly different. So you're like negotiating almost, trying to figure out, like, convince people to come do the thing you want to. And it is really something that I think is ingrained in me. And I do think it is to some degree why I did so well in school and why I did so well in volleyball is that I learned really young to be pretty helpful and get a lot of praise and things for doing things right because my mom's trying to get four kids ready and we're all, I mean, when Casey was born I was 7 or 7.5, so my mom had four kids under the age of 7, which is insane sounding to me. But
Yeah.
she did good, she did really good.
Yeah. Being that eldest daughter, like helping out. I mean, I only had one other sibling to look after and help out, but like, I mean, I was still putting in that work. So I can't
Mhm.
imagine having three others having that same level of quote work or, like
Yeah.
whatever. Then the parent side of it. Yeah. Always
Yes.
negotiating, trying to get the best deal with them. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I always kind of did want that bigger family, or I always thought it was very cool. But growing up, my dream scenario would have been being like the second oldest, having an older brother ahead of me, and then a few others. Like, I feel
Yes.
like that would have been ideal.
Yes. It's the older we all get, the more I can see how our order of family did sort of turn into how we were raised and who we are as people. Uh,
Mhm.
but it is very lucky, like we all get along really well. I just think they have all hung the moon and it, if somebody asked me like, what's the worst thing about one of your siblings? I would be like digging deep and saying something ridiculous. So it's like we're all very lucky, but I can see how it really shaped how I interact with the world. And I've been in
Mhm.
a lot of therapy, honestly, that helped me see that because, every skill and every drawback is like a double-edged sword where it's like, okay, well, it made me really successful in these areas, but it's not necessarily a great coping mechanism for these other areas. and trying to figure out where to use it and where not to is been a lot of work.
Yeah. For me too, I the similar side is, oh, this is a really good strength professionally, but personally, it's
Mhm.
yeah, that double-edged sword where they play in different ways sometimes, and it's not always a big pro like you think it would be. So,
Yes.
but yeah, birth order I think has so much to do with that. And is it hard or weird dating a youngest? Because I know like yeah, when I was organizing family get-togethers and things, it was so funny to see it through other lenses and being like, "Oh, you don't do any of the planning, the negotiating, the rallying everyone together? Like,
Yeah.
this is so weird."
Yes. And it was something we actually really struggled with at the beginning. And he, in his personal life, he holds himself to like very high standards. So he's actually more organized than I am in the house. He's cleaner. Like he
Mhm.
does things more of a set way. But when it comes to events, like I really like planning them. I look forward to them once I have them scheduled. I want to know where we're going and what we're doing. And he just wants to wing it. He just was like, we'll go over when we feel like it. Well, maybe he won't even say like maybe we'll do this. He'll just be like, I don't know, we'll go over and we'll see how it goes. And that to
Yeah.
me was so stressful because I was just like, well, what do I wear? What do I bring? What do I
Yeah.
do? Um,
How do I prepare for this unknown? Yeah.
yes. And we reached a little bit of a balance where he's, gotten used to me planning a little bit more, and I've gotten used to trying to let go of some of that,
Mhm.
which again is good. Sometimes I take it too far and I'm like, we're doing this and this and this and this. And it's like, maybe we should leave some room to enjoy and have some fun. But
It can be hard.
it really can be hard. And something else I realized is that I'm like if I don't eat, I just get so hangry. And that's part of why I want things to be planned. And I've had to learn to just be like, I am in control of that. And if we are somewhere that I didn't know we were going to be, the odds of there being food is extremely high.
Yeah.
I just need to go buy something and eat it, and I will be fine. But, I was single for like a really long time, like 8 years maybe before we started
Mhm.
dating. And seeing yourself sort of through someone else's eyes is
Mhm.
extremely, I mean, it's really interesting to me because I do like doing a lot of internal work and knowing why I'm thinking something.
Yeah.
But it definitely is eye-opening in some ways.
Yeah, yeah. I'm dying because I like all of those things are so ringing so true for me. So I know like other people feel the exact same way or like have those hurdles too. But yeah, I keep going back to why is that unknown in the event like so hard for me? And I too, I'm like, why can't I just have to trust myself? Like I'll figure it out when I'm there. I don't need to like pre-plan every step. Like I can be fun. I can be fine. I'll figure it out. That
Yes.
sort of thing.
And it's interesting because like both of us are fun. You take us out
Yes.
to something and we're there and we're having a great
Yeah.
time. We're not stressed
You would never know.
like what's going on. We're there to have fun, but yeah,
Yeah,
the lead up I think is needs more detail for me than for a lot of people.
for sure. No.
My boyfriend and I were talking about that in more of a larger sense, like planning for the future, but we talk about how sometimes I'm planning things like future me is going to be a complete moron. I'm setting these things up like I'm going to be completely dumb and lose all the knowledge I have. And it's like, why am I doing this? Like, I am going to be me again in a year, so I can
Yeah.
definitely handle this thing when it comes around. But I'm acting right now like I'm just going to be like, what? I've never heard of people, or how do you get food? It's like ridiculous.
That's hilarious. Yes, I love that. And another level to like building that confidence and future self.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Wow. I'll take that one with me for sure.
It's helpful sometimes to be like, I can handle things now and I can handle things later, both times.
For sure. That trust in yourself, always. Yeah. And it's great to hear how other people process through that. And yeah, because I know, like I said, that will help me
Yes.
when I'm in that spiral doing that again as well too.
Yes, it is sometimes hard to get out of.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. So starting back with that, you played volleyball. You were my coach in volleyball for a little bit. You played volleyball in high school. You did choir in high school, like you said, and now you're in a band. So I'm just like connecting how all of these are kind of like flowing together and working into you.
Yeah.
And like music has always been a big part of you and your family. Like you guys still go to concerts together. I feel like music is a big part of your family's life. Is that, would you say that's accurate, or is it something that maybe you spearheaded with the family and now everyone's just doing it?
I've never considered that, but I think it's always been a big part of our lives. Honestly, particularly from Disney movies. We grew up,
Mm,
in the heyday of the 90s, coming back around with The Lion King and The Little Mermaid, and like Hercules is a big family favorite. And we all can sing pretty decently. And I think when you're a kid, you just want to sing along to your favorite movies. And then when you're good, sometimes people are like, oh, that sounded great, sing it again. And you're like, oh, I would love to.
yeah.
So I think that is definitely where a lot of that stemmed from. My dad had maybe 6 CDs in like a 6 CD changer in his car that we
Mhm.
hold as sort of iconic family things. And it's like Alanis Morissette, Natalie Merchant and the 10,000 Maniacs, Don McLean, who sings American Pie, uh, both Les Miserables CDs because for the
Oh my
musical
God.
because there were two,
Yep.
and then I think like a Who CD or a Dave Matthews CD, which is kind of how Kristen ended up into them. So I think he was very influential, honestly, because you can see sort of the rock music influences in that. You can see the musicals, which we're all pretty into, and then some more like poppy kind of things that came out. And my mom really liked just pop radio. Like whatever was popular, she would just turn it on in the car. And so I think that they kind of got us that influence. And then I think we just loved, we'd sit in the basement with the Grease soundtrack and do all the dances, the hand jive, and all that kind of stuff. So I think we all just really enjoyed music together. But I do think actually I did spearhead a little bit of that because I can remember a story where one of my friend's sisters was Kevin's age and they were in class together and she was like, "Are you humming Rent?" The musical? And he was like, "Oh yeah, because I played it in the car on the way to school every time I drove
Mhm.
us." So I do think I probably had a little bit of a hand in that, and credit to my mom for taking us to like Warped Tour and the Good Charlotte concert and stuff like that in
No
high
way.
that really just like I remember 8th grade at St. Michael's, somebody's brother's band played on that little stage in the gym.
Yeah.
They just covered like some Blink 182 songs and stuff. And I just remember thinking that was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And I
Mhm.
really liked that. So then when I was in high school, I played volleyball, but I also did choir. And then I took a music technology class. They had one at the high school. And we covered a couple different things, including soundtracks to movies and how that can make you feel different. And then we like rescored a scene from a movie, Stadium
Oh,
Swim,
whoa.
which was really cool.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and we just got to pick like the song we wanted to be in it, and it really changed the mood because I think in the movie it's like a very like hallelujah religious. It's really pretty. Anyway, people would put rock music over it, which would totally change the vibe, or they would put something. She was driving through the mountains and it was just kind of chill, so people would put chill music, and it totally changed how you felt about the scene, which was really cool. And then we also did like a student led concert basically where the teacher was like, "We put this show on every year. It's totally student run. I'm telling you guys these things that you need. I'll help you with any questions you have, but I'm not in charge. So good luck." And then for like a day, we all sat around being like, "Interesting. What will we do here?" And finally, the second day, I was like, "Guys, we need a plan. We need an order. Who's
Yeah.
doing this? Who's doing that?"
Just gotta go.
Uh-huh. And so I kind of took that over and I really liked that aspect of it. I thought that was really cool. And then we did get to play in the show, which was fun. So that kind of opened me up to some things like that. And I actually ended up at my college because I liked the band Bowling for Soup. They sing like that
Mhm.
1989 song.
Yeah.
And they played a concert at Bellarmine University, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, and is where I went. And I was like, oh, I have to go look at this school.
Yeah.
Well, I went and looked, and I actually started out as a music tech major. I got a pretty big academic scholarship. And then I went to the volleyball coach and said, hey, I got a pretty big academic scholarship and I'd like to play. Can you give me maybe a little
Hmm.
bit more money for room and board or something like that?
Yeah.
And they did. So I ended up playing all 4 years at Bellarmine. I did end up switching from a music major to a music minor, just in like music overall, because the tech program was like a lot of composing, and I find composing to be
Mm.
very overwhelming. I'm
Yeah.
too nervous about it. I've written one song for our band, and then I've been too nervous to do another. But someday it'll
Mhm.
come around again.
Yeah, for sure.
um, and I'm still friends with the girls I played volleyball with, and we had a lot of
Mhm.
fun. But I
Yeah.
ended up in school hanging out more with like the music students um, than the volleyball girls. Kind of as I got older and figured out who I was a little bit. Then I really took kind of a long break from both volleyball and music to some extent, where like I was
Yeah.
still going to a lot of concerts, a
Mhm.
lot of concerts. But I wasn't really doing much performing or anything. And then
Mhm.
volleyball, I played hockey for a little bit. I There was just like a big
That's
juniors league
right.
that you could join, a women's
Yeah.
team as well. So I played that for like 2 or 3 years, which was really fun. Was ended up it was at like 9 o'clock at night, and it was on the other side of town. And once the pandemic hit, I was just like, all right, this was really a fun time in my life. But I think
That's a
that
season, we're closing it
yes,
out now.
we're closing out. But a girl I met through that played volleyball in high school and college, and so I joined her team for a bit. And I think that volleyball, my coach at Bellarmine had been a struggle for me. I think just a little too intense and all over the place. So it was nice to come back with people that I didn't play with, where it didn't really remind me of that.
Yeah.
Um, and so then I started playing indoor with her actually. And then eventually I started subbing with a girl I had played with in college in sand. And then I joined her team. And then she ended up taking a break because she had some kids. And so now I play on a team with her brother. And we've won a couple times our
That's
season. And
awesome.
it's
Oh my
really
god.
fun. And it's really funny because we play co-ed. So we're on a men's net. So I hit really sporadically, but I'm mostly like
Yeah.
passing and setting. And Casey came and watched, and she was like, I didn't know that you could pass. And I was
Yeah.
like,
I was going to say, like, wow, that's a real change up from where you were.
yes, it's real growth from being a middle hitter, where pretty much they took me off the court as soon as I entered the back row.
Literally, literally, avoid at all costs.
All times. But
Oh, that's so
it's
cool.
really fun. So I get a lot of joy out of playing now, which
Yeah.
I'm really glad, and is probably one of the number one reasons that I am glad I played. It's nice to have
Mhm.
a sport and a reason to move my body that I really like. So that's been really fun.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
with music, I started playing again in the pandemic. I have a piano in my house. Shout out to my father for arranging it to be moved into my home, which was an
Iconic,
ordeal.
I'm
And
sure.
but I started doing short song covers and putting them on like my Instagram stories because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And that really helped because I think it made me realize that like it doesn't have to be perfect and people will still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't willing to spend like 3 hours making it
Mhm.
perfect.
Mhm.
And that also, I think, brought back some of the joy of playing music in a way, like we talked earlier, sometimes eldest siblings stuff feels like you create a lot of pressure for yourself. Um,
Mhm.
and I think I got to a point with maybe both volleyball and piano where I wasn't necessarily enjoying it because I put too much pressure on.
Yeah.
what I was doing. So to be able to come back and enjoy it and have it not have to be 100% perfect was really nice. And I will add that I got on antidepressants in a bit of a window
Mhm.
there, and that helps too. You know,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Seriously. That therapy, going on medication, like, well, I just know the therapy side of it and it's immaculate and would recommend. But that finding that joy in things, I feel like that's as I'm getting older, I'm now discovering that a little bit myself too. Removing that pressure. Who cares if it's not perfect? Who cares if it's not my absolute best? And like, who cares if you're still putting that out for people to enjoy or to possibly not enjoy and reject? Like, it's fine. It's
no,
not,
that's art.
it's so hard. It's
It's
so
hard.
hard.
But it's like that is what art is for, because it's meant to get a reaction out of people. And if it's
Mhm.
bad for them, you'll still get a reaction. And if it's good, then you'll get a reaction. And people
Mhm.
are really, self included, afraid to do that. And I think I really do struggle with the idea that it's has to be successful in other people's eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? There's
Mhm.
no, what we do on this earth is to enjoy our time here, I think. And I
Mhm.
think that when you limit yourself to only doing things that other people are going to like, it really holds back what you can enjoy and you can create.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's something I
And
very much,
expressing yourself, like learning yourself, knowing it, all of that for sure.
yeah, even kind of you doing this podcast, I think is so cool, because whenever I would think of something like this, it would be like, oh, I'm trying to get all these sponsors and get all these things. But it's the same as us putting music out, that it's like,
Mhm.
50 people listen to it, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and we see all these
Yeah.
bands that come play with us, and some of them are crazy talented. And I'm like, I don't know how you don't have more people. And some are
Mhm.
very medium, but are still fun. And every now and then someone is terrible. And you're still like, we got up. You got up and you did this.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive. And
Mhm.
I think that that has been a really cool eye opening part of being in a band as well, is that everyone has been so nice. Like, I didn't even know how to hook up my keyboard when we first started. And I
Mhm.
remember a guy being like, do you need a DI box? And I said, I don't know. This is my first show. And I thought he would be like, oh, well, this is what a DI, he went, oh, that's so fucking cool.
Oh, that's
All
awesome.
for me. Um,
Yeah.
so I just think that that's been really a really cool part of being in a band. And to go back to how we started existing, I ended up signing up. There's a nonprofit that's like an offshoot of the Girls Rock program. Do you know anything about that?
Mm-mm. No.
It's a national program, it's a nonprofit, and they work with non male identifying people who are in high school or middle school. And they have a week-long camp in the summer. You go and they teach you how to play an instrument, and then they put you in little bands and you write a song all together, and then you do a performance,
That's cool.
which I just think is so cool. There were like no female musician bands in Finley that I knew about, at
No.
least. So
No.
it's really cool to see. I volunteered some with them, and it's really cool to see it as a program. But they did an adult version that was only like 2 days long, but
Cool.
I went and they taught me how to play a basic drum beat. And I was actually paired with two different women, and we wrote a song together. And then there were two people, Anne and Megan, and they wrote a song together. And we all just got along so well, Anne, Megan, and I, that we decided to try, being a little band ourselves. So Megan learned how to play the drums, I played the keys, and then Anne plays the guitar. She's the lead singer, but we all can sing. And then
Mhm.
about 6 months in, a girl named Jess, who is a phenomenal artist, like visual artist. Everyone's very cool. She learned to play bass to be a part of the band, and just
Oh
having
my
her really
God.
like rounded it out. And it's just I feel like it is unusual to find people that you're comfortable making music with, but it's even more unusual to find that and that you really all like hanging out. And so that's been just a really neat experience. We basically have to get to practice like 45 minutes before we start practice because we'll just talk for
Yeah, you gotta catch up, hear what everyone's up to.
yeah. So it's
Oh my
been
God.
honestly like year old me is just dying inside every time we play.
Geeking, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we're playing to the other bands who played with us, my boyfriend, and the sound guy. And it's
Hmm.
still fun. It's still fun,
Yeah.
and seeing all the other bands is crazy cool. And it's just such a welcoming space. And I just really love it.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that connection with your bandmates too, of them being like very close and everything now. Yeah, who cares who's what? Like just doing it together, building that up, like putting what you create out there and just doing it and having fun together. Valuing that is, I think, the only thing you can ever do because you can't control anything else. You literally can't control anything else. So getting worked up or worried about those other details, it's so silly and it's so stupid. So you can just enjoy what you're doing with the people you're with and like cherry on top. That's incredible.
Yes, exactly.
But I love too how finding that joy in volleyball again, finding that joy in singing again and creating, and then meeting these people along the way. But then the support you've received from the guy hooking like the box. And it's like just, I think, a good reminder of you never know what that beautiful surprise is, even just by asking or needing help or, trying something new. It can, I don't know, it just always, it can work out unexpectedly, but in the best way. And it doesn't have to be this scary, fearful, like, oh my God, I'm trying something new. Like, what if, like, no, what if it's actually really great? Or like, what if it turns into something? But what if it doesn't? What if you just have a lot of fun and you haven't had fun in a while? Like,
Yes, yes,
it's
exactly.
great.
And not counting yourself out before you try it, I think is something that I would always like
Yeah.
just talk myself out of it because it would be like, well, it'll probably go like this. And it's like, well, I had no idea how it'd actually go. And giving it that shot is what leads to good things.
Yeah.
And I used to have a lot of stage fright when I performed just me, but now when I'm up there with them, it's just like we're all there together. And even if things went wild somehow out in the crowd, we would all still be on stage together. And they're so supportive and it's just really fun. And I'll do a shout out, which is that our Instagram is half Nelson KY. If you would like to listen to any of our
Love
music,
it.
we're on all the streaming platforms. So,
Incredible. I was going to have you promo them. So you're on like Spotify, Apple.
yep, we
Awesome.
have, I think, 5 songs. We're going to drop another one in the next month. And then we're hoping to have like an EP at the end of, or at the like middle of next year. We signed with like this small record label in Philly. We played a show with a girl that owns and runs it. And she was crazy good and crazy nice. And so they do just like a little bit of promotion. So they'll do some PR stuff. They'll do, if there's like a Netflix movie that needs music that they think ours would work for, they'll send it out to them, that sort of thing. So we're hoping to do just like a little EP with them, which would be crazy fun.
That's so, Kelly, I'm beaming. Like I can't stop smiling. That is so cool. I'm so proud of you guys. That's incredible. Oh my God.
Thanks. It's really fun. And growing up in Findlay, Ohio, I didn't really have a concept of like a music scene that wasn't big arenas and things like
Yeah.
that. So it is really cool that you don't have to be really famous to still have a good time doing all of this. And
Hmm.
we meet so many people that are just doing little tours around the Midwest or, a thing up the coast and they're bopping over and they're just so creative and it's very cool to see how you can do it on levels that aren't 100% what people would define as like success.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and too, I mean, you were saying you didn't know in Finlay that that was a thing. Yeah, I had no concept that you could do things like that for fun. Like, I
Mhm.
genuinely, as an adult, had no idea that, like, one of my friends from college, her dad was in an Irish band. And on weekends, they would go to his shows and stuff. But it's, so cool that adults having hobbies like outside of the home or your traditional sort of things. I think it's just incredible and so cool.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
think that now that I am much older, and I think that I have a complicated relationship with Finley, and I think that a lot of people
Yeah.
really like Finley, and it was a really great place for them. Kristen still lives there, and she loves it. I just think it didn't necessarily have what I was looking for, but I expected, because most of the people, nearly all the people that I knew in Finley were married with kids, and that was true of all of my friends' parents and
Mhm.
parents. And I think that as I got older and realized that wasn't necessarily something I wanted, it was like a really big journey to getting off of that path and realizing that there's so many other options out in the world. And that was really scary to some degree. It's like when you have the path, even if you don't want to be on it, you like know where it is
Yeah.
and what it looks
Yep.
like. And then opening that up, I remember telling a therapist, like, it's like you're just in a field and there's an infinite number of paths that are out there in the trees and you don't know anything about any of them. Uh,
Mhm. And you want to go back to revert because it's comfortable and it's just at least what you know, like yeah, but you can't. You know you can't at the same
yes,
time. So
yes. And it's like,
it's
I
really
didn't
hard. Yeah.
want to be like, we're both very high achievers. And I remember a therapist one time being like, if you wanted to get married and have kids, you probably would have. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, yikes.
But like I don't think you're right, but like maybe
But I was like,
that's what I would have been. I've been like,
mm.
okay.
I'm always like, why are you so right about stuff that I didn't want to know that it was true, you know?
Oh
They'll
yeah.
say something
Oh,
and I'm like,
I like
you're calling me out real bad, and I don't like it.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Sometimes I hate what she's saying, but I'm like, fuck, I needed to hear that. Or
No,
like,
you're
I don't know, I can't. I know some people who they just not want their therapist to agree with them, but like, I feel like they kind of do. And I'm like, oh, no, I want her to like lay me out, tell me everything.
can
Uh,
be direct
Tell me
about
what's
it.
real. Tell me what I need to see. Tell me what I need to hear. Like, what am I missing? Or, whatever. So,
I remember a therapist. Eventually, I got to the point where I was just like, I just want you to tell me what to do. And she was like, I know that you want that, and that's not really how this works. It's like,
mhm.
she was like, this is the crux of the problem, perhaps, that you want someone to
Yeah.
tell you what to do so you can do it and get a gold star for it.
Literally. Oh, for sure. My mom was on the podcast last weekend, and I was like, "Yeah, mom, there have been often times where I just want you to like, yeah, help me out, tell me what to do." But
Well, and that's
yeah.
been part of the complicated process, sort of not following that path, is that it
Hmm.
made my parents very happy. And so they advocate for it pretty strongly. And I want to do what my parents want me to do and get that
Yeah.
glow and praise and gold star. And it's hard to step away from that to do something different that they are just unfamiliar with. So, you know, it makes them nervous because they want the happiness they have also for you, even though maybe your happiness looks a little different.
Hmm. Yeah.
Also, I think we
Yeah.
should have Kath on the podcast.
Okay, perfect. She's on. I'm learning a lot about people just even by shooting them a text. Hey, want to be a guest on the pod?
But I was really excited when you texted me because, like, when Casey was on there, I was like, God, that would be so fun. And I listened
Oh
to
my God.
this podcast called Maintenance Phase. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
They basically do deep dives into diet culture and a
Oh.
lot of like diet studies. They kind of go all the way into the study, and either a lot of times illustrate that there isn't as much of a connection as it seems like
Yeah.
to a lot of the social ways that people talk about weight and health. And
Mhm.
they do some fun, like, grifter profiles and like scam kind of things.
Mhm.
And I just love that podcast. And I've always been like, man, it would be so fun to be on a podcast. So I'm just really excited.
Hell yeah. And in the fun way, it's nothing too crazy or whatever, but it's like that low stakes kind of entry version of it. I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you can like live out a little bit of a fantasy or a dream through this. I love
Absolutely.
that. That makes me very happy.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, of course. Well, I can't have you leave without asking you what your dream world is. So if Kelly, your head's in the cloud and you're like, okay, I'm running the show, what would Kelly's world look
Yeah,
like?
I think that world would be one where there's a lot less judgment about how people present themselves
Mm-hmm.
and just like gender or sexuality. I find with the band that we're in a lot of spaces where people are weird and people are all over the gender spectrum and all over the sexuality spectrum. And I think it's so cool that it's so welcoming and so open. And
Yeah,
I wish we had that for everywhere all the
everywhere.
time. Um,
I made the face because I was like, oh yeah, like people could probably not like giving them a chance or like yeah, just for how they express themselves.
Yes, and I was very weird for Findlay, Ohio. I'm not that weird for Louisville,
No.
Kentucky. And it is
Yeah.
cool to see people who really are, comfortable with themselves and living out the person that they want to be. And I wish that it felt way more comfortable for people to do that out in the world. So in my dream world, we would have that. Uh, to get slightly political, we would even more than I just was with there'd be universal income because I think that allows people to have a safety net to make more art. And I think art is
Yeah.
just crazy important. Art and
Mhm,
friendships are what the point of life is. And I
mhm.
think that dogs should live for as long as you want them to. My dog passed away
Incredible.
this year, and I'm really sad about it. And so
Yeah.
I think that echoes a bit of what Casey was saying, that dogs would just be in charge and rule the world. And
Yeah.
they're so
Oh my God.
sweet.
I love that. No, yeah, having dogs on every corner, like in some way, or, like, yeah, it would just be, I think everyone's mood would be a little brightened, except the like cat lovers, but we could do something for cat lovers too, maybe.
Yeah,
It's just, I don't fall into that.
I am getting more into them because my boyfriend is a big cat guy. So we have a
Mm,
good amount of neighborhood cats, and he'll always stop to
mhm.
pet them. And so now I also stop to pet them, and they are also incredibly sweet and loving. They are just not as enthusiastic as dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. They play it cool, unlike dogs.
Yes,
You know exactly where dogs are at.
yes, exactly. And it is with you, excited and happy.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I love that. Your dream room sounds great. I would love to be there.
Me too. One day.
Yeah, one day. I feel like my dream world this week is more, I'm thinking about Labor Day weekend and how it was so fun. It was nice just to have the extra day. So, of course, at first I was like, ooh, am I back on this like 4-day work week kick? Because at the beginning of the pod, that was a huge thing for me. And I think that might be it. But then I don't know, a part of me knows that you would just get so accustomed to it, so then it wouldn't really feel special after a certain period of time, which is fine. So then I decided I have a lot of colleagues in the EU, and their time off policies are top notch, top notch. And like they just have a good balance with life, like professionally and personally, like all of that. So I think it wouldn't be a 4-day work week for me, and it would really be us having an EU PTO and like relationship with work sort of thing. I think that sounds so dreamy right now.
Yes, it really does. I recently got a new job, but I'm still in the nonprofit world. And actually, shout out to legal aid societies, which help people with civil legal issues like
Ooh.
domestic violence or evictions, expunging people's records so they can get jobs, help
Oh, good.
veterans. Anyway, I worked for one in Kentucky for a long time, and now I work for a different one in Kentucky. But they have always had like pretty generous leave policies, and I think that really helps because it's hard to work with people when their whole lives are falling apart. They are having
Mhm.
a bad time and you are helping them, which is great, but you're witnessing a lot of the trauma that they're going through. So I think having that policy is incredibly important so that people can step away and restore before they can come back and help people. Um,
Mhm.
but I've really spent a lot of time being like, I can't believe we have to work all this many hours. I'm only
Yeah.
awake for so many of them, and I have to spend so many of them
Mhm.
at work. And I have had a very generous leave policy, so I really am with you on that front. And I believe that there's so much more to life than just being at your job, and that
Literally.
Americans' attitude towards that is far too intense about how productive you have to be. So I'm definitely
Mhm.
with you. I'll live in that world for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the like I'm a big proponent on your whole identity can't be your job. Life is so much more than that. And yeah, I feel like that's a good gateway into reducing that identity a little bit because like I don't know, then what happens once you retire or if something crazy happens and all you did was work? Like that's hard for me to wrap my head around for a lot of
I
things.
remember
So,
talking to
yeah.
my friend about going on a vacation, and I was like, oh, should I take the days off? There's kind of a lot going on. And then she just went, I don't think on your deathbed you're going to think, wow, I'm glad I worked so much. And I,
Yeah.
you know, 100% right. And I think that sometimes when I'm on the fence about what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Another great mantra. Actually, yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about more and more as I get older too, is like, what would 90-year-old Audrey think of this?
Mm.
And that's kind of my navigation point for what
Yeah.
I think I should do.
Yeah,
So,
not to
yeah,
get into a
yeah.
whole new topic, but I stopped drinking like 2.5. It'll be 3 years in September, so almost 3 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
Congrats.
thank you. And it was a really good life choice to be able to think about something like that, where there was all this. I think some of why I drank was that I was trying to, follow a path that I didn't really want to take. But then when I
Mhm.
stopped, I was able to really think about like, okay, what do I want? Because at first what I wanted was a drink and that was not an option. So it was like, okay, what is gonna, bring me that joy and what is gonna be something that I want to do? And joining the band was really one of the really big ones that I can see like I'm gonna be always so glad that I did this. And that younger me is thrilled and the older me will be like, what a cool thing to have done. And just being able to be reliable and have enough energy to put into that has been just spectacular. And, it went a lot hand in hand with, I went to a lot of 5 years of therapy probably before I finally decided to quit. And then the antidepressants actually make the hangovers from alcohol worse. So it was both like, oh, there's an immediate bad side.
Yeah.
And like it helped me not feel so like I needed to drink. So I guess that's all to say that if anybody out there is thinking of giving up alcohol, it is for me personally, it a lot easier to just not do it than to worry about it and be so stressed out and get into these cycles of not of feeling terrible because you drank too much and you trying to get your life, quote back on track.
Mhm.
That it's been certainly a challenge. And I have a lot of support from my friends and family, therapy, and antidepressants. But if you're willing to put some of the work into looking at your life and figuring out why you're doing stuff like that, it has made my life significantly better.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Kelly. That is great. And yeah, maybe can be a huge step for people, but like, yeah, looking down the line or I don't know, chunking it out, whatever you have to do to make that attainable for you, or if that's just something you're looking to do, there's definitely ways to do that. And yeah, support is a huge part of that,
Yeah.
though. So,
Yeah. You certainly can't do it alone, and you certainly can't do it for someone else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, filling up your own cup.
yes. Yeah. Yep. And it is, first off, I do want to say I come at this from an incredible place of privilege where, like, I don't think my rock bottom was near where some people can get. And also, I have financial safety and that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
I do think that you have to be able to look at the hard things in your life, and the hard things in how you feel about things. And it is very, very much not easy. But if you can get yourself to do that, I think you end up with a much better understanding of yourself. And that can in turn make you much happier.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Giving yourself that kind of, you said it before too, not shutting yourself down to something before you can try it. Like, yeah, give it a go, bet on yourself a little bit
Yep.
and see what goes from there.
Yeah, and
But
there's no
yeah.
shame in like giving it a shot and then being like, oh,
No.
this is not going to work for me, you know? At least you may have learned something or figured out, taking a little break and assessed something and then, go
Hmm.
back to where you are with that knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, for sure. And I'm thinking too, like your maze analogy before, like that's kind of what it can feel like. And that comfort sometimes is, it will always be there, but once you explore that unknown, what comes out of it is,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the drinking side of it necessarily, but with other things in my life, like it's been the best thing to bet on myself and to have that confidence that I could try something new or navigate this. And yeah, that's a gift, but it's hard. You got to put in some work though too. And it's not, yeah, there will be some things that you have to dig through and process that are not fun,
Yes.
but it's a part of the journey.
Yes, and it is very much worth it. I've
Yeah,
found.
I love it. I love it. All right, I have to ask one final question for you, Kelly. A small win, because unfortunately, like that's not our dream world. But let's give people something like to look forward to give a glimmer of light, to like end on a little positive note. So, is there something that you've done, a small win recently that you would like to pat yourself on the back for or just celebrate?
Yeah, I think that mine's gonna have to be that I've been enjoying the nice weather because it was incredibly hot and now it has been beautiful for like 3 weeks and I've been spending so much time outside and like making my yard look nice and going on walks, and that is sometimes a struggle for me. So that is a pat on my back that I've been moving my body and enjoying the nice weather. Uh, Sometimes
Yeah.
in Kentucky, you end up back in the 90s for like 2 weeks in September. So storing up the nice.
Enjoying the not sweating of it right
Yes,
now.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It is nice. Yeah, I think sometimes we forget, especially this tail end of summer that we're in now, that like, yeah, it fades and like we don't always have this. So be present, like enjoy these maybe last times you'll have it, or maybe it won't be, hopefully. But
Yeah,
yeah, just
it
getting outside, enjoying the moment.
it stays a good deal warmer, I think, down here than it does up where you are
Yeah.
for quite a bit longer. So fingers crossed that we keep it for a while. But what's your win for the? Okay,
Yes,
what's
yeah. So my small win is like hilarious. It's very silly, but I don't care. Straight single men don't really come across my desk very often. So because usually if I'm hanging out with a straight guy, he's like married to my friend or dating my friend, and then any other guy who I'm with is gay, most likely. So the single straight man very rarely comes across my desk. But I met one out on Friday night and we chatted. It wasn't anything like super flirty. This is not a love story in the making, but I just talked to a single straight guy and like that was different for me and it was a small win. So,
It's fun. It's like nice to remember how to like go out and like have a nice little
yeah.
flirt.
And like meet someone new. Like I feel like I also haven't met someone new in a while. So it was like, yeah, wait, what are you into? Like
Yeah.
what's happening? Like what do you do? Like tell me about yourself. It was just nice to like, yeah, meet someone new too.
Yeah, if I'm allowed to have two little wins, I will say that
Yeah.
Louisville has, it's called Waterfront Wednesday, and it's a free concert once a month throughout the summer down at the waterfront, as it's named. And Sixpence None the Richer came and played. And they sing There She Goes and Kiss Me. Um,
Iconic.
and we went, and so that was like really fun. But I just sort of forgot I haven't been around like a whole group of like a ton of people in a while, and I forgot
Mhm.
how cool people look. Like people just dress so cool. I really love it.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to watch people like their groups intermingle, because there were a lot of people by us who would come with 3 people, and then 3 people would come by and they'd all talk for a while, and then some of those would go off, and then other people would come by. And I just thought watching that was really fun, and I think is a really fun part of life, is like being introduced to new people and catching up with people you haven't seen in a long time. And watching that
Yeah.
was really fun, and I'm glad you got to
Yeah.
have that.
Thanks. Yeah, different versions of relationships, whether it's like just a quick hi and like someone you may never see again, or like a longtime friend, a catch up, someone who you love. Yeah, relationships are like, and the different variations of them are always so fascinating and like cool and beautiful to witness. So
Yes, I
love that.
love a casual conversation with a stranger. It is just like a coffee or something, and just being like, "Oh, how's your day? What are you up to?" And I think that that's it's just fun to know that there are people out there in the world that are nice, and they are getting paid to talk to you. But you can bring, maybe hopefully, a little bit of joy to their morning, and they can bring a little to yours.
For sure. Oh, 100%. 100%. We definitely need more of that. Maybe add that to Dream World for
Yeah,
sure.
add to your dream world that everyone that is working in customer service, everyone treats them nicely and
For
respectfully.
real. For real. Yes, 100%.
Sometimes I just have to be like, guys, they're not getting paid enough to do
Yeah.
anything except make
Why are
more
you taking your
experience.
pain out on them? Like, stop. Yeah. Oh. Kelly, it was so great to catch up with you. I love this conversation. I like don't want it to end. It means a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yay, of course. Guys, such a great episode, right? That was so fun. I'm literally still buzzing. Kelly, I just want to say this to you. Genuinely, so proud of everything you're doing. It is so fun to see you living a life that is great for you, that you're having fun doing the things in it. I know that doesn't mean every day is probably, rainbows and sunshine, but I love that you've like found that joy in things and you're doing it for yourself. You're filling up your own cup. You know who you are and you're being her. And I think that's all anyone can ever do is just be themselves to the fullest, explore what that means, figure out what's best for you, and like still be nice to people. But it was so fun catching up with you, and thank you so much for supporting me. There was a lot of great nuggets of info in there and like good mantras and things to think about. So maybe if there are any other eldest daughters listening that you fall into this archetype of having to really plan, prepare, strategize, discipline, all of that, I think we can take some really good lessons learned from Kelly and integrate those into our lives. As always, we have a listener's dream world to hear today. If you too would like to hear your dream world on an upcoming podcast episode, you can email me. Email audreysworld@gmail.com, or oftentimes if you follow me on Instagram, I put a prompt on a story where you can write in, and that would also make it be on the podcast. So if you want your dream world to be on the pod, there are several ways to do so. So this week, thank you, Courtney, for writing in. Courtney, her dream world includes like just a vacation, it sounds like. It's life at the beach, good book, good bevy, great food, time with friends and family, and things just were a little easier to do that, which I agree. Having life be more of a vacation with friends or family or just loved ones, like absolutely incredible, Courtney. Always good bevies around, just being outside, enjoying what's around you. A good book, good people. I mean, it's kind of what Kelly and I were talking about in this combo. Like, incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, thank you, Courtney. And thank you all for tuning in and listening today. Your support really means a lot to me. So, if you want to continue to support, feel free to like, rate, review, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening. And you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well to see behind the scenes, see some clips from the pod, and maybe learn a little bit more about me. I will see you again next week. Love ya. Bye.